it just started streaming. It should be on regular YouTube. You should be able to find it that way as well. Alright, so we got Murdoch sitting here. He's not doing a thing. So on the asset browser, I want to go ahead and type in idle. So just find a regular idle animation, and I'm just going to drag that into. I'm just going to recant from the start here. So I'm just going to drag in to all slots on the bottom. And once you've done it, he's already doing the idle animation. So from there, I'm going to go back to my filter and I'm going to type in walk. So walk forward, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the first box right above there. And then walk backwards, I'm actually going to put on both sides. You see where I'm putting on both sides, left and right? And then walk left will be left. Walk right will be right. And then was there should have been, yeah, there's a jog. So if we put in jog, we can start filling these in. Like jog right, I'm actually going to move to the middle. You know, like right there on middle right. Jog left. Yep, there's jog forward. We'll go to the middle slot. And there should be, might be a jog backwards as well. If there's not, then, you know, forward to backward spin. It's not as critical because we can kind of modify that a little bit more later. But if there's no jog backwards, we can just emit that, and then we got run. So we type in run. So again, we got run forward. We're going to put all the way at the very top. In the middle. Yeah. Yeah, because it'll be underneath where that green dot is showing for right now. Instead of our run left and right, and then our run backwards, we're going to put on both sides on the very top. So with it being on both sides on the very top like that, now if you, once you get caught up to that point, let me know. Then you can actually hold the shift key down and move your mouse around that graph, and he's going to do those animations. So wherever you move it to, if you move it up and down, left and right, he's going to do those animations, so you're good to go on that. Yeah. We're almost done with setting up the blend space. As you got the horizontal and vertical now, and I'm dyslexic, so I'm probably going to screw this up the first time. Because you need speed and direction. So I think direction then speed. Sorry. I will confirm. So with the speed and direction, the direction on top, and you'll have negative 180 for your minimum axis and your maximum axis of 180. And then you're going to change your interpolation time. I usually do it to 1. It's going to kind of help smooth things a little bit. And then the vertical axis is going to be speed. And we're going to set that to 500. So now, whenever you go from 0 to 500, 500 is his max speed running. So it's going to scale things in between on the blend space as you move walk and then move into your jog and then into your run. So, and then if you want, you can go ahead and do your interpolation as 1 as well. And that's it for the blend space. And just hit save and close the blend space. So I've got Murdoch underscore BS. And then I'm going to go ahead and put, because the animations folder is freaking loaded up, so you can go back to the Murdoch folder, and this is something we should probably get in the habit of anyway. Let's go ahead and on the left, if you click on this spot right here, it should open up to where you can see the drop downs. So under Murdoch, if you bump up from the animation to the Murdoch folder, something we need to do for all these characters. But I am actually going to do differently. So actually we're going to come up to the characters folder and player blueprints, and I'm actually going to dump the old player base. Don't need that anymore. And then inside here I'm going to start putting the animation blueprints. So we're just going to right click in here and select animation, come down to animation blueprint, and we're going to have to pick our skeleton. In this case it's going to be Murdoch. Click OK, and we're going to call this Murdoch underscore, and I'm going to quit doing this, I hate it, but we're going to call this ABP, Alpha Bravo Papa. It's a animation blueprint, so it'll be Murdoch underscore ABP. Then we can go into the animation blueprint, and this is where it gets fun, is you're trying to do a few things that are telling it when and how it can actually do these animations. Okay. Alright, so you caught up to where I'm at now, or?
It's a little weird because like your voice is delayed, like the video is delayed compared to your voice.
Yeah, I would probably actually mute the sound on the stream, because the stream is actually going to be like, what, 2 or 3 seconds behind what I'm actually doing?
Yeah, so like I'm listening to you while you're doing something else.
Yeah. So we're at the final animation pose is inside the anim graph. So what we're going to do for now, there's going to be a lot of things that go on in this screen. But for now, we're going to use the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm just going to left click and drag out and place a new mode. And we want to add in a state machine. So we're going to add new state machine. You can change the name if you want to. You don't have to. I just leave it default as new state machine. And then if you double click on the new state machine, you'll get to another screen that'll say entry, and that's all there is in the middle. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to drag off from there, and we're going to add a state, and I'm just going to call this idle for the first state. Again, it's not necessary to set it up this way, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just to kind of give you the simple and basic idea on setting up an animation blueprint. And then you double click on idle, and you're going to get a final animation pose. Drag out from the animation pose, and since it's just an idle animation, we can actually drop down to the animation and then play idle. And that's all we need to do from this particular one right here. So if you come back up here to where you see new state machine, left click on that. It will take you back to the main screen there. Alright, so from there, we're going to left click on the border of it, and we're going to drag off from there, and we're going to add a new state and call that run slash or walk slash run. And you can call it the dog's doo-doo, or I don't care what you call it, but just get in the habit of keeping simple things like walk run. Now that we've drug it off to there and we've got this, we also need to click on there and drag it back to the idle. So you'll have arrows going in both directions. And essentially what we're doing is we're saying that I want to go from idle to be able to walk and run, but I also want to be able to go from walking and running back to idling again. So if you double click on your walk run, and then from your result on your final animation pose, you drag off from it, and we're going to select the blend space of Murdoch_blend space. And here's where you've got, when you drag off from the final animation pose and tell it to use the Murdoch_BS, it's going to have two green nodes there, for one for direction and one for speed. So first thing you want to do is left click from the green node from the direction, drag it out, and select promote to variable. And then go ahead and call that direction. And then do the same thing for speed. Drag off from that, promote to variable, and then type in speed, hit enter. They almost always stack on top of each other, so just
How do I change the name?
yeah, once you tell it to promote to variable, it's already set for you to start typing in the name. So don't touch anything, just type it in, and it'll go right in. So now we have our direction and our speed for our blend space set up. And we can hit compile and save, and it's going to give us an error. Not a problem. I'm live streaming, so yeah. It's going to give us an error, and that's okay. We know that it's going to give us that error because we haven't told it what we need for it to do to be able to get back and forth. So we're going to go back to the new state machine, and you can see he's stuck on idle right now. He's actually trying to idle, and if you look on the left hand of your screen, you see he's idling. Yeah. So you're going to have two errors, which is fine. And then you'll have on the top where you've got the transition error going from idle to walk run. There's the red circle above there. It says idle to walk and run. Double click on that, and you'll have the result node says can enter transition. So what we want to do is we're going to grab speed and show you a trick here. Is if I drag that out, it's going to ask us, do I want to get or set? So instead, if you hold down the control key and then left click and drag in speed, it's only going to give me the get node. Whereas if I were to hold down the alternate key and left click and drag speed in, it's going to give me a set node. And we don't need the set node. So that's a little quick way of just getting the exact node that we need. Just hold down that control key, drag it in, boom, you're done. So what we need to do is we're going to get our speed, and we need to tell it that we're going from idle to walk. So we can drag off from there, and we know that this variable is actually a float, so we can type in the word float, and you'll see that you've got options here. You want to check that your speed is greater than, and then go ahead and connect the red to the red, so that you can now type into that little box where the 0.0 is, and we're going to call it 10. And to explain what that's actually doing is we're asking it if the speed is greater than 10, then you can start walking or running. So we need to go back to the new state machine and go to the bottom one, double click on it, and do basically the same thing. We're going to control left click on speed, drag it in, drag out from there, type in float, or if you're not dyslexic like I am and you know which arrow or the caret is the right one, this time we want to do less than. So if the speed is less than 10, we can then enter the idle or animation. So for us to be able to get back into the idle animation, we have to be moving less than 10.
Alright, that makes sense.
So if you go back to the state machine and hit compile and save, your errors go away. And I'll quickly show you how to set up a working player blueprint. So I'm going to close out Murdoch, get in the habit of save all, even though it's already saved. Close these two guys down here just because I was working on something else. Alright, so our player base, we can work from this. I'm going to right click on player base, come up to create child blueprint class, and I'm going to call this Murdoch underscore BP. Actually, we're just going to do PC. Murdoch underscore PC for player character. Now it's going to still show Shinbi because she's the player. She's the base. She's the base character in this creative process. So she's going to have some things like sword collision box we're not going to need, but we're going to need for something else later down the line anyway. But the trouble is we can't delete it because we're in a child. We're not in the master. So what we can do here is we can look at our mesh, select that, and we can come over here to the information for the mesh, and from the drag down box we need to come up with, what else is his name? Murdoch. Yeah, just Murdoch only, and that's his skeletal mesh. And we'll see that he's here, but he's not doing anything. He's in the Y pose with a big ass gun. So now we need to move up one block to where our animation class is, and we need to select the Murdoch ABP, and now he's idling. We can compile and save, and you'll see that because he doesn't actually have that socket, that sword collision box is actually now underground, or is laying on the ground.
Yep.
So we're not really worried about it. We need to come to our event graph, and if you notice, there's really nothing here, because everything is linked to event begin play of the parent character. So I'm going to drag mine down and then drag it back up to redock it to the main tab, so I have tabs up here. That's just the way mine's set for screenness. So now if we go back to our main window for our map, and I'm still on the lobby map just because it's a nice blank empty map. If I come over here to the default pawn class, I can now select Murdoch PC and then hit play, and
Hi there.
okay, it's still going to do his startup stuff, and this shouldn't be. This was just a rough thing. His animation is not working because of that, so we're going to have to do this a different way. I'm going to, yeah, so our Murdoch PC character is not going to work. We can't use it off the Shinbi, so we're going to go a different route. Because I got so much stuff already stacked up in for Shinbi, I'm not going to be able to use the player-based system. I'm going to have to create a new blueprint. Alright, so
delete Murdoch PC.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is left click on player base, actually right click on her and select duplicate, and we'll call that Murdoch underscore PC. And then we can open it up, and the first thing we got to do is under event begin play, and actually we can actually go ahead and take the event tick. Let's move it out of the way. For right now, let's go ahead and delete the input action emotes. Get rid of it completely. Grab the event tick for the health regen system. Just going to drag that down and get it out of the way. And then what I'm going to want to do is all this stuff under event begin play. You scroll out, select it all, hit that magic delete key, get rid of it. And the input action quick cast, if you've got anything there, let's go ahead and for now, let's select all those things and let's get rid of her ability. And we're going to leave it blank for now. It doesn't have to have anything on it. And then over on the combo system, we're going to probably end up ditching this entire system right here, because since he uses a firearm, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to write up the shooting code, and I'm going to use a ray trace stuff. So for now, we don't want any of this to happen because it's going to try to play montages from her. So what we can do is hold down the control key and left click, and then click off somewhere. Control, left click, and control, and just click off. So we can break everything coming from left mouse button, or you can just select the left mouse button and the gamepad button and just hit delete. Get rid of those. Okay. You actually click on the attack box as well and get rid of that. You might as well go ahead and get rid of the combo system setup and just delete that whole section as well. So he's not going to do anything but walk around and look pretty and regenerate health if he loses any. So I'm going to hit compile and save. I'm going to go back to the viewport and go to the sword collision. I'm going to left click on that to get it selected. Hit the delete key and get rid of the sword mesh. Or, yeah, sword collision box. And then click on the mesh and change the skeletal mesh over to Murdoch like we were doing before. And then the anim class, we're going to switch that over to Murdoch ABP. So now he's animating, and we don't have jump set up yet. So jump may work, but it won't be animated at the moment. So I'm going to hit compile and save. Go back to the lobby map, change my default pawn class to Murdoch PC, and let's hit play and see what happens. He is not animating. Yeah, he'll jump, but he's not doing the animations correctly. Mesh, use animation blueprint, Murdoch, yeah, that's correct. So the player characters should be good. We'll look in the event graph. That's fine. Input action jump should be fine. Yeah, touch input. I'm not using touch for anything, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Escape menu is fine. Mouse input, that should all be fine. Gamepad, I don't use a gamepad, so for me, I'm getting rid of that. I'm not using VR, so don't need that. That's my health regen there. That health regen that's in there is actually the stuff to make the regeneration work. But you see, it's actually just one little gray blob. That's because I hid everything inside there. As an example, if you wanted to see how to do it, like the escape menu functionality, you select all the stuff, and then if you want to, you can right click and then collapse nodes, and then just start typing in a name of what you want that node to be called, and you'll just get that little gray box that says like that, collapsed graph. So now if you ever want to edit it, you can go back into it. And if you don't need anything to come off the end of it, that's fine. And I'm not, because this one right here is a looping thing, so it regenerates health. But if you did want an output pin to move things after that, all you'd have to do is select this arrow here and drag it onto that blue, and it will automatically create an output node. I don't need one on this one, so I'm going to close out of it. Alright, so that's the basics. I'm going to compile and save this. And I'm going to have to look to see why he's not animating correctly. Because he's animating over here. And, oh, it's because we didn't finish the event graph. Never mind. Okay. Not a problem. So, again, to recap where I'm going here is I'm going back in the Murdoch ABP. The animation blueprint for Murdoch. It's because we didn't set up anything on the event graph portion. Because you got the anim graph that we were working on earlier, which is the state machine stuff. Then you got the event graph. There's nothing off of the event blueprint update animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find Shinbi's animation blueprint, and we're going to take a look at that, and we'll just copy some stuff out of hers. I know it's cheating, but hey, you know what? We're just saving time. We're not cheating. So I'm going to double click on her blueprint, and as you can see, there, as you scroll out, there's a lot of shit. And you see there's a bunch of variables over here as well on the lower left. There's a way to cheat those as well. So what we need to look at is you get try get pawn owner, and I'm going to look at it and explain why some of these things are here. Try get pawn owner is trying to establish the owner of who's actually controlling it. And then looking at all this stuff down here, the one down here at the very bottom, these are notifiers to run specific montages. For right now, as you see, this is for the attack stuff. We currently don't need this because we don't have any attacks yet. But you can see where it's just saying well, we won't get into that just yet because it's not necessary. Set is full body. May or may not need any of this stuff. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to look at see what all we got up here. The set character. You got the montage play. We don't need the level start. Does he have a level start montage?
Everyone has a little start animation.
Alright, so what we can do for right now then, so we keep that and we keep the this stuff right here. We're going to break things by doing this, but we're going to fix them back. So you scroll out so you can see everything. We're just going to go ahead and grab everything. Left click, drag, and highlight every single swinging thing in there. And then Control C. I'm going to come into our Murdoch blueprint and delete the event blueprint update animation because we've got one. And then scroll all the way out and then Control V to paste all that stuff back in. And then we can start from the bottom. We don't need this part. So there's two ways of doing it. We can use this as a cheat sheet to come back to. We don't need this Shinbi stuff because it's calling to my player base. So we're going to have to change the references to the player base. Notice I haven't hit compile and save yet because it's going to give me all kind of errors. Quick way, we can just break the link off of this, but I'm just going to say go ahead and just do that. Just control and left click and then click off, and that's going to break the links to these. It's going to make them not work anymore. We can leave them in there because we're going to have to do the same thing for our attack system for calling the animations. So it'll be useful later, but just not now. Now you see you got a warning on the set is full body. There is no variable inside the blueprint. So just come up here where it says set, right click on it, and then left click on create variable full body. And there you've got your variable that you needed. Same thing for is accelerating. Click on it, select create variable is accelerating. and just kind of scroll through and look for references to that. Yaw delta, create variable. Rotation last tick, create variable. You don't have to do it for the other one because rotation last tick, rotation last tick is the same thing. So after you do one or two of them, if you start seeing duplicates, then go ahead and hit compile and save, and just know that it's going to give you errors. Just look for the red. So yaw, yeah. So you can just do this and cheat your way through to create the new variables, and then compile and save. Then scroll around until we find some more. Is an error? Well, that's definitely a good one we got to have. So we need to create that as a variable. And we'll come over here as attacking. We need that one as well. And then compile and save. And we're down to this one right here. And this one we're going to do differently. Where you see cast to player base, and then this one's going to give you an error. That's no problem, because this doesn't really need to be here until we do this. Right click, and we need to cast to, and I'm not putting any spaces in, Murdoch PC. So we want to cast to the Murdoch player character, and from there we want to left click off of as Murdoch PC, left click out and promote to variable, and we're going to make that variable called character, except for you're going to spell it correctly, unlike me. So after you've created your new variable from the as Murdoch PC, we can come in here and delete the cast to player base and its set variable because it's no longer valid. So I'm just going to drag it over here just so it's more visible. Then we come to where it says when the character BP sends a left mouse button, we are attacking. Oh, okay. Yeah, lovely. So what we want to do is down here, we want to cast to Murdoch player character, and then we want to, as Murdoch PC, we want to bind event on attacking. So I'm going to left click off of as Murdoch and start typing in bind. You want to copy what it says right there, bind event to attacking. So bind event to attacking, and then select that. And from there, we got the attacking event. Well, I'm just going to grab the player underscore base and the other bind event up there, and I'm going to delete those two, and I'm going to move this up here so that it's now taking the place of the things we just deleted, and I'm going to connect the executable pins so that now they're going. We need to connect the attacking event red to the event and the try get pawn owner to the object. And I'm going to go ahead and hit compile and save one more time. Still not done with the errors and references here. We just need to make sure that we've got all the references to player underscore base removed. In fact, even though this is all deleted here, they're not going to work, and we're not worried about them. So that should be it on fixing this portion of it. Except for the very, very top thing, the event begin or blueprint begin play, the montage play. We're going to need to look for his version of that. So inside of the folder for Murdoch, in animations, There should be a... Let's look for whatever it was called. The I'm close Shinbi's animation blueprint. Level start montage. It's probably named the same thing.
Yeah, it's called level start.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and left click once on level start. I'm going to go back into the blueprint for the animation blueprint. And then where it says montage to play, there's an arrow between the information and the hourglass. If you left click on that arrow, it'll automatically change it over. If it does not, like mine is being a pain in the ass and is still not doing it. Really? Okay, it's looking for a montage. Because it's montage play. We don't actually have a montage for it. So in the meantime, until we get the montage created, I'm going to left click. I'm just going to drag that away for right now. And I'm going to uncheck that. So I'm going to break that link. If we wanted to do something for a begin play, we could do something from there, but I'm just going to break it for now. We don't want to get crazy on adding on all these other fancy shit. So I'm just going to leave that broken. I'm going to hit compile and save. And then I'm going to go back into our map and walk around. The jump is not correct yet because we haven't configured that part yet. But that'll at least give you a good start. We've got Murdoch animated and walking around. He doesn't have an attack yet, and his jump animation isn't set yet. So if we wanted to, we could base the Shinbi character stuff in her animation blueprint. If we were to look in her anim graph, it's these two that are piled up over here. We don't need both of them, so I'm going to close one of them. So I've just got the idle jog, come back to anim graph so I can look at the actual animation graph. There's a lot of crapola in here. It's easy to get overwhelmed. There's a lot of stuff you can do to really do a lot of work with these animation blueprints and blend spaces. But yeah, this will at least get you rolling to get them started. When you start getting more advanced in, then you'll start learning how to do things like if you want the upper body to work separately from the lower body, you can separate the animations and blend them together so that the lower body is still walking or running, but the upper body can actually perform the animation for shooting or swinging a sword or casting a spell or something like that. That's a different story for right now. So there's just so much, like the upper body layer. This is layer blend per bone, and you can usually break it up into several, like the different spine ones and so forth. Yeah, with that, like the emotes and stuff like that. What I found the best way to do is just do a freeze. You know, just stop the character from moving so it can do the emotes, so they're not running around and doing the emote thing at the same time.
In the game, they didn't run around doing emotes. You can't do that.
Yeah. So what I do was like I did with Shinbi, whenever you actually go in there, and I'm gonna actually go back to this real quick into the lobby map, change my default pawn class back over to player base, which I'm going to recreate the player base as quote unquote the Shinbi PC. I just haven't done it yet. So if I go back in and play as Shinbi,
Oh, you're so sweet.
you notice that I have it set up to where the mouse cursor goes away, and that was a preemptive thing, as I mentioned earlier. This is because it's broke all to hell and back. So when we first start it, you cannot walk. You're forced to stand still until she finishes her little start montage, and then when you hit that F key to do your emote for right now, when you do it, if you're walking, when you do it, it freezes you in place till you complete the animation, and then you can start walking again.
That's right. Bring it.
And the way I did that was a little bit easier. Just simply that in her blueprint that I created, not the one that came with it, um, that was this stuff up here. It was the event begin play. It gets the access to the player controller. It sets the input mode to game only and set show mouse cursor. This is something we're going to want to put into all of the characters because there's a known issue with the stupidity of UE 419. Epic Games, I love you. I'm sorry, I'm not talking total shit about you. But I'm going to throw that event begin play back in here into Murdoch so that it does the same thing. It gets rid of that mouse cursor. And then for now, I'm going to close the animation blueprints because this is I'll work on the jump, or you can fix your jump here yourself here in a little bit and learn how to do that part. But on the to stop the player from moving, what I did was deactivate character movement. I knew that the her starting thing was 5 seconds, so what I did was I broke it up in half. After freezing the movement, it waits 2.5 seconds. It then spawns the emitter at her hands for the hard emote, and then it plays the sound to go along with it, the intro, and then another delay of 2.5 seconds, which finishes up that animation. And then I got a reference to my character movement just by grabbing it here and just dragging it in, and then selected activate. So that reactivates the character movement. So anytime you do those emotes, and like I've got them bound up inside this collapsed graph. Whenever I did that, when you hit the F key, it grabs a random integer in range. It sets the taunt numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I set the minimum to 1 and max to 4. So if the answer is 1 when it does that, then it goes to a branch node. Branch nodes are your best damn friend. It says, hey, is this true or not? And it uses a boolean for finding that. So it's asking a question, is it true or not? And if it is true, then we want to play an animation. And then we want to deactivate the character movement. We want to do the sound. And then we want another delay here of the length of the animation. And then we want to reset our animation instance class back into setting it back to her regular walking animation, and then reactivate the character movement. And we're getting all this location stuff off of a central get world location, and yeah. But if the answer to this question is it 1, no, then it's going to ask, is it 2? No. Is it 3? No. Is it 4? No. So it's going to grab off of this series of branch nodes, and it's going to do that. And by having the delay system in here, it's hopefully going to help to prevent. And what did I save? I didn't save anything. We'll go back to the event graph. When you're playing, if you want to keep players from spamming the emotes, if they want to sit here and spam the emotes, yeah, it's just a little bit on the weird side. It's going to stop the old one and start the new one. But if you want to prevent that from happening, the only way that I suggest doing it is creating a new variable. And give it a blanket. You want to stop people from spamming the shit, then you can do it a little bit harder this way. The variable, just call it can do emote and question mark, and you can leave that as a Boolean variable. And then if you look at the emote thing, go back into that. If I'm going too fast, let me know. On the input node, if you look right here, we want to left click on there and drag off from it and start typing in branch and select that. If you want a shortcut for making a branch node that you can connect in manually, and where you want to add that, hold down the B key and left click, and it instantly creates you a branch node. So we want to find out, can we do the emote? So I'm going to left click on it, drag it, and drop it on the red pin, and it's going to bring the variable in for me. So we want to ask, can we do the emote? And if yes, then we're going to do the stuff. But if it is false, we're not going to do a damn thing. Unless you want it to remove health from the player for being, a piece of shit spamming. Hey, quit spamming the emotes. Can I do it now? No, you lose 10 health. Oh, that sucks. Good way to stop spammer. So when we do that, we can actually come over here, and since it's branching out all of these, we're going to have to add that into all of them, but it's going to be easy. If we want, what would be a good time between the emotes? How frequently can a player do an emote?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking everybody. How frequently can somebody do the emotes?
Every 1 second. Every 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Every time you're able to do it all the time that they want to. Yeah. And it should be able to do it again. Yeah. And they're frozen in spot, so they can't do shit.
Yeah.
They can't turn around, they can't do anything apart from do the emote. The minute the animation is done though, they can re-spam it again. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to keep going end after end after end after end, I'll show you both ways. So if you want to make it to where they have to wait 30 seconds, so we'll make everybody happy here. If you want to make them wait 30 seconds before they can do the emote again, then just drag off from here and hit delay. So you put a delay node in and you make that 30 seconds. And then you can hold down the alternate key, left click, and drag in can do emote. Connect that node up to it and select yes. Now, preemptively, we've already asked if we can do the emote way back here. So what we can do is left click off of the true node here, and we want to set can do emote so we can put it in line and leave it unchecked. So once we've started doing the emote, we can't do it again until we're able to do it again, and that's not for 30 more seconds. If you don't want the delay of 30 seconds, then you can delete the delay there and just connect in the set can do emote and put a check in that box. I'm going to grab my output node and I'm going to drag that out of the way. I'm going to select this, Control C, Control V, Control V, and Control V, and then just connect these guys up to the end of the activate. You can do it that way if you want it all separately, or you can grab that one, bring it down in between, and connect all of them after the activate directly into the can do emote. So they're finished. That's all they're going to do, is it's just going to tell it to be able to do the emote again. So with this branch where it says true that we're going to do the emote, I'm just going to tell it that no, I can't do it again. It's going to have to do the emote, and then at the end of doing it, it's then finished, and then I can do it again. So now from the true mode node again, I want to start typing in can do set can do emote and just position that. Same thing, I'm going to left click, start typing in can do, and there you go. If you watch a lot of porn, you're good at doing things with one hand on the keyboard. So I'm just using my left hand on the keyboard. Alright. So you just type it in there, and now with the can do emote system inside there, I'm going to hit compile and save. And let's go in here and play. Again, we can't move until she finishes doing that. So now I'll come over here, and we've completely broken the emote. So it's asking, can we do the emote? I'm going to say if we click on the emote here and then come over to the default value and select yes, and then compile and save, it's going to say right off the get-go that we're going to be able to do the emote.
That's right. Bring it.
So now she can do the emotes, and it frees her until she's done. But as hard as I'm tapping that key, I cannot spam it. It has to wait until it finishes, and then it can start again. So there we go. That's how you can prevent spamming the emojis or the emotes. All right. Any more questions about this part of it before I kick out of this and get back to work and doing other stuff? We're good. We're happy. Everybody's in love. We have Shinbi working,
Oh, you're so
walking,
sweet.
doing her start thing, swinging a sword. You can hear sounds unless you're idling. So swing a sword and hear noise. These are sounds that I created, so you don't like them. Tough. Give me some new sounds. And now she's just swinging in the air. If there was actually a target in here, had the minion set up, where the sword actually does impact with one of the targets, then what happens is it will actually cause damage. The melee does work, but it also plays a different sound whenever she connects with another with a target. So I gotta add one more sound in so that you actually get the like a smacking sound or a sound of the sword physically hitting the target. But she does her emote for like, okay, I hit something, but I just need the sound effect for the sword itself. I just haven't had a chance to make it yet. But she does the attack, and then I gotta reset the sounds because when she does her double attack, she doesn't play it on both swings of the sword. So I gotta fix that or create a new sound effect for the double end. But that'll come soon. And then
That's
again,
right.
we can cycle between 4 different emotes for right now. I'll change the key bindings for it
That's right.
later.
Bring it.
And I promise they cycle through. And I'll change sounds. I'll get all these configured. The emotes were actually not a major priority. They was just something that I was doing. I'll change the sounds to go along with them and kind of sync them a little bit better. But, alright. I'm ending the stream off here. And for those of you who accidentally saw this, then you didn't see anything. You know nothing. You saw nothing. This didn't exist. So, alright. Going back to work. You guys got any questions about the project? You need to address them to Brain Dead Games. I'm not going to be directly dealing with the public on actually stuff about the Project Paragon stuff. So, yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching.